right, welcome to another WOTCon video. No, Wheel of Time video. Welcome to another Wheel of Time video, but it was taken at WOTCon. Sorry, that's what's on my brain here. This is part 2 of the interview that we did with Sharon Gilham. And by we, I mean myself and Pez. And Lauren from Unraveling the Pattern was there. And first of all, I'd say a big thank you to him. It's his camera that we ended up using. And he's also, he caught something at the beginning that is the reason that you can hear anything. So there are still going to be some sound issues in there, but just know if Lauren wasn't there, it would be infinitely worse. But yes, this is an amazing interview. It was such a good time. I can't believe we talked to Sharon for like an hour. I did not realize that until I went to edit the video. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, we talked to her for a while. In this video, we're going to be talking about Lanfeir and the young ones and a bunch of stuff. It was a fantastic interview. Sharon was so generous with her time, and her answers were so thoughtful and considered and sincere. And this was amazing. The love and dedication that went into making the show is evident. And I'm just going to say, I want more. I know it's been a minute, but Save What still exists. You can still go to the website. You can still sign the petition. You can still send postcards to streamers. You can still send emails and messages to streamers. And there may even be new action items up there that I've missed. Go to SaveWhat.com. Do what you can. I want this show back. But, yeah, I'm also in this video. You're going to see me interject myself a few times because there's going to be some cuts. Because there's different filming sessions that happened in this video. So you'll see that. But I'll explain that when it happens. So enjoy this video.
Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy.
We've talked a lot in the videos that we've done about noticing some differences in the dream world versus the real world. Can you talk a little bit about how you approached the difficulty or the challenge of designing for this dream world as well as reality in the Wheel of Time?
Can you give me a specific example of it?
No, the one we've discussed the most, I think, is actually for Perrin in season 2. We both noticed that we were in the dream world instead of the real Wheel of Time because he wasn't wearing metal fasteners on his clothing anymore.
Is Perrin in the dream world in season 2?
Well, I guess it's not the dream world. It's Nynaeve's test.
Well, right. Okay, when she comes back, when she's like in the ideal, her idealistic world. Oh, I love that.
She actually picked that out from the preview. It wasn't me. She's giving me all the credit. She was like, no. This is either the dream world or it's somebody's test because he didn't have metal fasteners.
Oh, wow. I love that. That was not something I thought about, but I love it. You see, this is another example of something that you see that I hadn't planned, but makes sense. Completely makes sense. I think, apart from that, I know that when we started, Rafe started talking about what the dream world meant. And I said, do you want the costumes to be heightened? Do you want them to be different? But he said, no, they should be the same because people are just moving in and out of that world. So I didn't really specifically do anything. I can't think of anything that I did to actually make things different, really different, because I know he didn't want it. He wanted everything to feel consistent. Yes, exactly. I'm just trying to rack my brains about it, actually. And
it was definitely a challenge trying to decide what was maybe a dream or maybe a test. And that was like the one thing we caught.
She keeps saying we. That is the genius there.
No, I know. I think it's a nice idea to do that. But I think certainly with Nynaeve's tests, they were like those little stories, weren't they, in and of their own right. So it's sort of everything was a little bit heightened, maybe, but in the way that she was wearing that costume with all the flowers, around her, the collar, all the healing flowers and so on. But that's like if I would have put that on her in the real world as well. It's not necessarily, for that reason. So I can't think of anything that I did specifically that was that did that wasn't in the script.
You were talking before about making sure that all the fabrics and everything feel like they were made using the technology. We did get a significant period of time get to see a significant time in the Age of Legends. So we have different, I don't know the terms to use because you can maybe help me here with this, but there's different stylings of clothing. I was curious if you can speak to how, was it a shift to work suddenly with being able to deal with different types of fabrics or technology? We're dealing with Latra and all of them there.
Yeah, I mean, do you mean in Rand's visions?
Yeah, also like the cold opening of some seasons. But
yeah. I mean, I think it was more about the color. Well, I was going to say it was more about the color palette because the Age of Legends generally was in black and white.
Yes. As you were, sorry, my brain made that connection suddenly as you talked about the color palette. I was like, there wasn't.
But then Rand's uniform, when with Latra in the in his memory, in his visions, was brown actually, and that was the thing about the Aiel. Like I wanted to connect it to the Aiel costumes, which is why that was brown rather than black. But otherwise, yes, it was always black and white, and the fabrics were kind of more either crisp or simple or streamlined. And not patterned, everything was really linear, I guess. So I would say that was the direction really that I went in with the Age of Legends stuff, and just simplicity. Whereas, I'm just thinking about Aes Sedai actually really as well, that, then the Aes Sedai in our world, in the contemporary world, was much more detailed because it had to be. I think that was the thing with I'm going on to a different thing completely now, but the Aes Sedai is very important to make them interesting and make them individual. And when you have that many, you have to be a bit more inventive and add more texture and so on in, because otherwise it all just becomes very, one color, one for each person that doesn't have detail in it. Then it's less interesting to look at, and it starts to become like primary colors. And Justin always talked about the colors of the Arja being the ugliest rainbow, because we were trying to do when we were doing the shawls, and we had to do the Amarillan shawl with all the colors in it. And we took such a long time choosing the colors of the shawls because I wanted them all to be slightly different graded colors of each color group. And then when we did the tassels, because we had those tassels made in India, choosing the right colors and the order that they went in took honestly days, because it was just like no, that's ugly, no, that's ugly, and just trying to get the order right so that when it was all together, it still looked like a beautiful thing. Because all those colors are lovely, except gray and brown in there. It just makes it go, ugh.
Yeah.
But then you've got to choose the right grays and the right browns, and then you're along the right line. Anyway, sorry, that completely diverted off the question. It was a great diversion.
Yes, it was a great diversion. I hadn't noticed until you said color palette that the Age of Legends was black and white. My brain just went, no, there's no. Oh.
Yeah, so like all the Lanfeir and in season 2 and Ishmael stuff, they're all in black and white all the time in the dreams and so on. And Mogadeen, black, well, monochrome, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. You can have a lot of fun with the. Oh my gosh, you mentioned Lanfeir. There's so much. Even Lanfeir's costumes. That must have been fun. I definitely. You could. What was it that Rafe said? He had like a drag queen scale with her. And the costumes definitely led to that. What was your favorite Lanfeir piece?
I think one of them. I was going to say I can never just say one. I mean, the one that where in season 2, where with the kind of fetishistic one, was really good fun because it was like we had not done anything like that with her, and that whole sequence was, it was really quick, and it was like we can really play with this, and we can really have some fun. And also because Rand was on the wheel and he was meant to be naked, and it was just, let's dial up the kind of drama and the sexuality of that scene. But I think just as her costumes develop, because, I was saying this earlier, that when you're working on a job like that, and you're working in 2 episodes at a time, so you're working on a block at a time, and therefore, so right at the beginning, you have your prep, and then you start, and you're doing like 2 episodes, and you're like, okay, right, got all these characters coming in, and all these new cultures and things, and then you start shooting, then you start prepping the next 2 episodes, but you're still doing the first 2 episodes, and then you get to the block 3, and there's still pickups from the first 2, and then still doing the second 2, and then you're shooting the third, and you're like, whoa, there's so much going on. You've got to make decisions really fast. And now I'm saying, I can't remember what I started off saying. What was the question? I think
About Lanfear.
Oh, Lanfeir, yeah, exactly. So as we went along, also when I started, Lanfeir was called Selene. I didn't even know about Lanfeir. No, this is the thing, that things were only revealed to me on a need to know basis.
Oh my goodness.
So I was just like, there's a character called Selene, and then there's a character called and then it was like Selene / Lanfeir, and I was like, wait a minute, who is that? Anyway, so her costumes sort of gradually started to reveal themselves. And as I read the script, it was like, oh, so now she's in season 2, this is like, she's starting to reveal who she is, but we're just going to do it bit by bit. And Rafe and Justine would be like, in this sequence, she's like 60% Selene and 40% Lanfeir. So I could dial up and down the costumes accordingly. So that was when I started to get really excited about her character. And the coat that she wears that has like silvery elements, it's got like a Japanese print on it in season 2, and silvery elements. Those silvery elements are her bad side, her Forsaken side coming out. And the other side is the Selene who lives in Kyrian sort of thing. So that I loved that. And then there was the kind of drama one where she's throwing bombs and she's like, the silver slashes. But anyway, the one on the hill was great. But I think also like her final costume with Ravin, where Samael's all strung up bits of, and that massive headdress. It was like, I'm still going to give her a ridiculous costume, even though it's only one scene and it's right towards the end. But I love doing that costume because it was such an angular, spiky version of Lanfeir. And that headdress, I said to Rob, I was showing him all these references, and in fact, the makeup department were also coming up with ideas, because I said I wanted to do something that really had the moon reflected in this headdress. And we kind of, there was all this reference that's kind of been seen a lot with a sort of half moon head, sort of wig and half moon on it and stuff. And it was just like, I've seen that before. I know that. And I'd shown Rob these kind of Alexander McQueen, I think, obviously always references of these. They're kind of like almost medieval headdresses, sort of angular shapes, but via Alexander McQueen, that had been made into these really odd kind of wings. And I showed him them and sort of all these things. And then and we were trying to put a moon in it, and it was just like, this is not working. And Rob said, he always comes up with something interesting. It's like, what about if it was just like the surface of the moon? If the print is like craters, so it's not so obvious. But then you go, oh, that's the reference to the moon, and that was it. And that it's things like that, because again, it was it sounds like long, but we only had a few days to do this, and and then once you have that idea, that's the thing, and that's the magic. And I think that's why I really love that costume, because also you hardly see it. It's in the dark, but I know all that detail is in there. And then putting chains on it, so it's like kind of, slightly fetishistic still and imprisoned and all of that. It has lots of meaning, which are, I guess, is instinctive, or it's something, someone talking to me, things coming in that I'm not even aware of, but it's just sort of like, this makes sense,
I have one more question.
Go
I
for
don't
it.
want to keep you too much longer, but one of my favorite scenes, again, is just another very, very short scene from episode 4 of season 3 in Moiraine's with our Forsaken Emmys or Two Rivers crew. Like Zoe, like Nynaeve, evil, Elaine, evil. It was just such a short scene, but so much work must have gone into that. Can you talk about what inspired that and how that came to be?
Like that scene, and there's some of the most of the scenes are episode 4, but also the one with the girls on horseback when Rand's in the river mad. They're, like, you can't not do those scenes properly. You can't skimp on those costumes. There's no point. It doesn't matter. I think partly because people freeze frame. It's not like they'll watch and go, something happened.
Don't do that.
So, you want to give people things to look at, and it needs to be deep and meaningful and chewy and interesting. And also, again, the text deserves it. Like the books, the script needs me to really focus on these things and give them as much attention as possible, because otherwise I might as well just not do the job. That's the way I really feel, is like, I need to give 1,000% all the time. It doesn't matter how quick the scene is, how short the scene is, because these characters are all really important, and everything they do and say is really, really important. And I've always felt that, but I think with the Wheel of Time, I had the capacity, I had the people who and the skill and the talent of my people in my workroom, who also, let's face it, love doing stuff like that.
Yes, I'm sure.
Like, everybody loves doing a crazy costume. And Andy, who made Nynaeve's costume, I mean, she took ages to make that, her the costume with the long panel at the front. It's actually one of these, isn't it? It's like a it's like a kind of Wheel of Time WOTCon like droopy thing down the front. But anyway, and again, it's like, well, how can I make their character? How can I give their character something so that they're all really individualistic and it makes sense for them to have gone in that direction? It was the same with the costumes at the beginning of season 3, where all of the young ones, as I call them, have to have new costumes, because they've all they were all destroyed at the end of season 2. So, Nynaeve and Egwene and Rand and Perrin and Matt all are in now and Elaine are in a new place.
I was so relieved.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, I wanted him to put him in different clothes, by the way, in season 2, but Rafe wouldn't let me. He was like, no, we have to keep it the same.
I completely understand. I've been mad at Rand since season 1 for not lending Matt some clothes.
I mean, there were many reasons for that, but for keeping the costumes the same. But I think he was relieved as well.
Yes.
But Rafe said to me, I said, how do you want me? Because at the beginning of season 3, there was all of that big battle to deal with, and because we were shooting for episodes 1 and 2 together. Also, the whole Andor universe had to be created. And I was like, okay, so what do you want me to do with the young ones? Because, I've got a lot of other things to do. And he went, I don't know, just something iconic for season 3. And I was just like, okay, just that small thing. So I kind of had to then sort of, find a way to make them each different from each other and their own person, and something that felt like that was relevant to them as a young person of that time in Tar Valon, having had all the experiences that they'd had. And so I just thought, well, if they live now in our world now, where would they go shopping? So I kind of like based their costumes on, well, she'd probably go to Urban Outfitters, she'd go to a vintage shop, he would go to this place. And in the same way, when they were Forsaken, it was that too. It was like, well, what can we add to their costume that gives them a feeling of something that's happened to them in the story, or has a connection to the story, or who they are becoming, or whatever. So, and keep their characters there, and sacrosanct and safe and believable and different from each other, but not so different that they don't all work together. And I think every time a new thing like that came up, I just saw it as another challenge in a really good way. You know, I just found it exciting. And it's like an adrenaline, like it's a kick. It's like, oh, give me more, give me more. So when a job like the Wheel of Time finishes, you're just like, now what do I do? I'm not like I need a million things a minute to think about. I can't cope with nothing. This is weird. But yeah, no, it was just really good fun. And none of them had seen each other before the day that we shot that scene. So they were all just like, oh, look at you, look at you, look at you. And then it was like, everyone stop talking, we need to shoot, and we've got to move on to the next thing.
One of my favorite things about that with Nynaeve still having braids was like, well, she's evil, but she's still from the Two Rivers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not changing at all.
Yeah.
Everything was magical, truly, like not just the show and the special effects, but the world that you helped build. And just thank you for the hard work and all the time that you've put into it. It was amazing.
It truly was. Like, I don't know that there's anything on television that looks like the Wheel of Time. And that is large part due to the work.
Oh, it's partly me. There's a lot of other people involved, but thank you very much. And I really appreciate it because, as you can tell, I'm just so enthusiastic and I absolutely loved working on that show. I just felt like incredibly privileged to be able to be the costume designer because those kind of things don't come along very often. And also just being here today, you know, it's like the love that everybody has and the support everybody has for each other as well as for the text is magical. And we need it, don't we? These days, we need to come together like this. And this has brought us together. We all talk about our Wheel of Time family, all of us from in the crew, and not just my department. Like, you know, Holger, the producer, still talks about it. Yeah, I'm Trina, the stunt coordinator. You know, we all talk about it as a family. And I think that is partly due to Rafe, a lot to do with Rafe and a lot to do with the text and, you know, the storytelling and everybody just really believing in it because it was tough, really tough. And it was long hours and long days and a lot to do, but we all just loved it. And, you know, I'm so glad that you loved it, what we did. So happy.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Truly an honor.
It's an honor to be here.
You're here. Do you have any questions?
I can't tell you how hard it's been to hold back. I wanted to interject all the time because I was so excited.
I'm so focused that I literally just remembered you were here.
No, this was a dream. This was worth the price of the ticket. I have to say, I love when people are passionate about things, and it shows in everything everyone did with the Wheel of Time show, but especially in the costumes. And there is no one on Earth that I've seen that believes the costumes don't deserve so much more accolades than the world is noticing. And that I've seen so many people say Emmys, 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 and to me that is not like hyperbole. That is the passion you and your team put into it is so noticeable, and we noticed. Just yesterday, I was noticing. Well, I make YouTube videos, and I'm one of those weirdos who pauses everything and widens everything and looks at every detail. And I was noticing my most watched bit is when I pause and look at the young people, as you call them, in the ways in their costumes in that very short scene. People loved that bit, and so the passion and detail you put into it is noticed.
Thank you.
We are so honored to have that kind of passion in our Wheel of Time. It's just like such a dream come true for all of us.
Well, you know, like the whole thing about the Emmys, like I got very excited. They did it live in season 2. They put me forward, but there is just not enough publicity about this show. And that counts, unfortunately, towards the Emmys. And I kind of was disappointed, and I've made a lot of effort, as you've probably seen this time, because I thought I might never have this opportunity again. So I'm going to try. But I'm not expecting anything because it hasn't had enough publicity. But and I mean this really genuinely, it's actually talking to guys like people like you, and you kind of just giving me this feedback is enough. It really is, because I feel like Emmy, like awards. My husband actually said to me last time, if you want to do jobs that win awards, you need to tell your agent. And I was like, that's not why I do my job. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing it because I love what I do, and I want to do the best, and I want to be involved in projects that are really interesting. And this has been such a unique experience. And I never, like I started late in life doing this job, and I've always felt like I've been running to catch up, and like I'd always wanted to do something like this, and I've done it, and I think that's enough. That's kind of just be content with that, and be content with how it makes you feel, and how you feel like it's lifted your experience, or it's been another layer of your love for these books, and that is enough. It's just brilliant. Yeah.
I genuinely mean this. Please take it back to your team too.
Yes.
We do notice, and we care very deeply, and we're so thankful for your efforts.
Oh, I will. I mean, yeah, I will tell them that, because it does make a difference, and it will probably make them cry even more because it's been cancelled. But the fact is, that we have done it, and it has, and we've gone out on the high as well. I think that's the other thing. And who knows in the future what will happen? But as an experience in life, it's been brilliant, and it's so good to be here.
One other thing, I'm sorry, you're holding that thing. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
And you talked to this a bit, but I can't imagine there are many projects out there with the kind of scope and breadth and just this kind of beautiful sandbox to play in that is the Wheel of Time. It kind of is a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, you talked about how you have to narrow things down because there's so much. What a gift, right? That must have been just, I don't even know what my question is. It's just like this wonderful sandbox that you got to play in. Is that unique?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been the most creative job I've ever worked on. And it is the kind of job that you dream of, because you can use things from any period.
Mm-hmm.
You can take things from different cultures. You can mix things up as much as you want. You make it your own. Every design is your own design, unique. And everything is influenced anyway. Everything is influenced by everything else. But this is like carte blanche to do that over and over and over again. And that is unusual. Like fantasy, there's like the Marvel kind of universe, which is very dictated, and people are very much told what to do. And then, there's sort of like certain sci-fi things. And, but this is like such a mix of different things that it is completely unique. And, like it is a costume designer's dream, that this job really, really is. And I think that's also why I was so determined to get as much as I possibly could and out of it, and put as much into it, because it would be really wrong and remiss of me not to do that, and just to do the minimum, or to just do something, anything. It was everything needed to have that attention of detail given to it, because it justified it. And I might never do a job like this again. So I have to make the most of it. And certainly in season 2, I just thought I am not going to be derailed by sort of other stuff that's happening around the outside that's not the design. I'm always going to keep my focus really clearly on the design, because it was hard, and there's a lot of learning to have to be done in a show like that when you've never worked on anything of that scale. But I stuck to that really, really clear focus, and that helped a lot, But I do think, yeah, absolutely 100% unique, and just so lucky. I was so lucky that Rafe let me do it, and then he just let me play.
We are so lucky.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Thank you for letting me interview.
Thank you for interjecting.
I remembered you were here. I'm so sorry. I was just so laser focused.
I was trying to feel it.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
All right, so as you can see at the end there, I forgot Lauren was there. I love Lauren. I do, and I'm so thankful to him. I was just so laser focused. I was in the moment. I was locked in that I literally, until I was about to turn things off, I think I just turned my head and I realized Lauren was there. I mean, I didn't realize. I knew he was there the whole time. But anyway, the first cut is basically we stopped filming and then we kept talking, and she started telling some really cool stories about things that happened, just basically the fortuitous way that certain things happened with the costumes. And so this one picks up here. I think I just picks up mid-sentence because I just hit record again. And we were discussing Surroth and basically the mask that she wore when she was introduced. So there you go.
On her that mask that she is wearing. Yeah. And that piece of metal was, I found it in a box in the workroom, because Rob was like, what are we going to use as the visor? Because like we need something that's not going to steam up. We need to be able to see out of it, see into it a bit. What are we going to use? And it needs to be, but it can't be glass or plastic, so it's not right for the Wheel of Time. And then this, but I think someone called Frida who's working in the workroom was like, oh, by the way, I found this box of old junk. I don't know if any, and I saw that, and it was like a piece. It was like this laser cut metal thing that you molded into a bowl, fruit bowl. And I sort of flattened it out. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. And Rob had already made the shape of the visor bit. And I was just like, I wonder if that would work. Oh, that's good. And then showed it to Thomas Napper, who's the director of that episode, beginning of season 2. And he was, and he's really open-minded as well, like such a great guy. And he was like, whoa, that's going to be so interesting. Whereas other directors would have gone, I can't see her eyes, But you have to have
speculated. At that time, we didn't know who Lanfeir was.
Oh, yeah.
Cast as Lanfeir. And I remember theorizing that somehow Surroth is Lanfeir.
Oh, yeah.
That it created a mystery around the previews, the trailer, and everything.
Yeah.
It really felt this.
Yeah,
I could keep about this forever.
Yes.
Anyway.
We're at a Wheel of Time connection. That's what we do.
exactly. That's what I'm here for.
Yes.
The reason I wanted to catch that story actually is because the story that she told right before that one was so cool about how something, basically a significant part of Surroth's costume came to be, and how it's something incredibly relevant to the Shan culture, and it happened by accident. And I was so mad that I didn't catch that in recording. But then the next day on the main stage at WOTCon, she gave it's amazing. It was like a 90-minute, presentation on basically how a lot of the costumes evolved from their mood boards to her inspirations through to their conclusions. It was incredible. It was like it was so good. I will tell you, you can still get a virtual ticket to WOTCon, and you can see the full presentation, and you can see all the other things that happen on the main stage, and all of the panels, including panels I was on when I'm not an avatar. So there you go. But this is the story that she told the night before in our interview, but when I wasn't recording, and so I was so glad she told it again. And this is just a snippet from that.
And then these were the other references for creating her costume and making collars and things. I was trying to use, what I always use is the real reference of the culture that exists in our world, and then mix into it something from another completely different time or place or culture or fashion or whatever, because that's where you get the richness and that's where you get the originality. And the Wheel of Time really gives you that opportunity, because and as the time went on, as I was working, I just got more and more excited about this whole thing that you can take anything from any period, you can take anything from any culture, because it's all it's in the memory of the people that we're currently living with. It's in their sort of historical memory, or it's stories that have been passed down, and that's like, oh my God, I just started to get so excited. Because, all of these things feed in. And I think what's interesting about these mood boards is you can sort of see where the references have been used. And that's, again, that's the first design that did, my alter ego illustrator. And, you know, she's used lots and lots of the references, and then we start to develop it, and Rob starts to do his thing, and Andy Bensick, who's a Hungarian cutter, starts to play with the costume shapes, and then Lily Bailey, who's the textile expert, she then, yeah. Oh, and there's a story about this too. So I didn't know, I found out, whenever it was recently, when I was talking about this at some point, that the ravens are very important to the Shonchan. Well, I didn't know that.
I think I told you in Prague.
Yeah.
I think I asked, like, oh my gosh, did you do the raven feathers on purpose?
Yeah, exactly. And this part of the headdress we were sort of really wrestling with Davina Lamont, who's also a genius, hair and makeup designer. Yes, thank you. She's another one. We were using real hair over the form of this artificial hair piece, and it didn't work, and we couldn't make it flat, and then we tried it with just painting it, and it just looked like plastic, and we were it was getting really close to shooting. We were like, what are we going to do? And then somebody, either my assistant Esther or Rob or somebody else, went, well, look, there's this box of black feathers under this desk here. Shall we try that? I was like, yes. And afterwards, I find out that this is the relevant thing to, this is really relevant to the Shonchan. And also, for me, what I loved about it was it got the feathers of the Mesoamerican world into the costume without it being Mesoamerican with a capital M and a capital A. So, this was another sort of like really interesting moment. And there have been moments throughout the design of both seasons where something's sort of like the universe, or Robert Jordan, and I said this before, is talking to me, across the ether, I don't know, but like things are just coming to me that I didn't know were important, because I freely admit I was given a book last night and I will read the books. But I didn't know things. There's loads of things. There's so many things in the books, that you can't possibly know when you're working on a show like that, even when you've got a genius like Sarah Nakamura sending you stuff all the time. Yes, also another very, very important cog in the wheel. But, it's just really interesting how these serendipitous things happen when you are so invested in something.
I think in the Wheel of Time we call that being Taviran.
All right, this is the last one. Basically, first of all, I got to say thank you to Vance, also known as Bart of the Red Hand, because he filmed this. He had a camera and a mic there, so he recorded this for me. But I will say, I asked her another question, and because I went through, I think, twice here, and was asking her questions. The other question I asked that I didn't record because I didn't think of it was about Tom's hat, and whether or not that was ever meant to be Matt's hat. She doesn't know officially, because as you heard with, Lanfeir, basically she's only told what she needs to know, and so that would have been something from the future she doesn't know. But she does think so because, I can't remember the context, but at one point, Donal Finn tried on the hat. And so, not at her behest, like somebody asked him to. So I think that was the intention, and she thinks it was the intention, but she doesn't know for sure. But this is the other question that I asked her, and there you go.
But after looking at the costumes, I remembered something that I kept thinking while watching the show, is that Moraine and Lanfear are mirrored a lot in their costumes. There's a lot of blue, and also the shoulder shape, which is what looking at that costume made me think of. And I was wondering, was that intentional, and how much thought went into that?
Do you know what? That's the first time I've thought about it. I think that there's something very powerful about big shoulders anyway in women's clothing. It kind of, comes from the 80s.
Yes.
But I think it was more about Lanfeir, and Lanfeir's costumes being very sort of rigid and pointed, right, and sort of like vicious looking. Okay. Whereas Moraine's a softer silhouette. And I think
you know, her costume at the beginning that was done in season 1, the beautiful little bolero that Rob did, is a powerful thing for her to wear, but it definitely wasn't a conscious thing that I wanted them to be having a similar look in that sense. I think it was more like the costumes at the end of season 3, they're really mirroring each other then, which was also partly because of necessity, because they both had to be able to move so much and do so much action and not have sleeves and all those things to encumber them.
Okay. Because I do remember in the preview, I believe, for season 2, there was a scene where Lanfeir is leaving a building, and I was 100% certain that it was Moiraine because of the silhouette. And then when I saw it, it was
I know the one you mean.
yes. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh no, they have the same silhouette. Moiraine and Lanfeir have the same silhouette. So I was thinking it was interesting. It's fascinating if it's not intentional, but they both played a mentor role to Rand, and then to have that mirrored in their costumes as well, I thought was fascinating. So
I love that, and I would love to say, I'm going to say that was definitely in my head.
You can claim it.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to claim it, and only you and I and that camera knows the truth.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much.
So there you have it. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. Thank you so much to Sharon Gilham. I keep using the word generous to describe the way she was with her. It's the best word. She was, every time you spoke with her, she was 100% engaged and thoughtful and considered and sincere and genuine with all of her answers. It was, I am so grateful and thankful and amazed and honored to have gotten to do this. And I hope you enjoyed this interview, and thank you. And go to SaveWhat.com. I want the show back. I mean, you can see the love that was put into the show. I loved watching the show, so please. And again, thank you to Lauren from Unraveling the Pattern, and Vance, Bard of the Red Hand. Wouldn't be able to do this without you, so thank you so much. And who else? Thank you to my patrons, because this channel would not be possible without you, so thank you so much. And I think that's it. Go to SaveWhat.com. If you want to see the whole presentation, go to WOTCon, get your virtual membership. And I think that's it. With that, I will end this here, so please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.